This video right here got over 200,000 streams. And for my standards, that's pretty viral. So today I'm going to show you how I made this remix that has been getting a really good reaction online. Now, if you haven't heard the remix sounds like this. Eskar. The way I got this vocals was not by using AI or anything like that. I literally just went on YouTube and I looked for BLACKPINK Jump Acapella. And it says BLACKPINK Jump Almost Official Acapella. When I first got this vocal into a project, I noticed that the vocal was a little bit too harsh. So first thing that I did was listen to the vocals. We listen to it. So come up with me, I'll take you high. Without this thing, it sounds like this. Let me remove every other effect. If you guys have been following my channel, you know this is my secret sauce for vocals. This is what adds vocals, those hizzes. Abbey Road Saturator, default settings, and then I turn down Saturator because it's usually at 50%. I take it down. It's up to you. This thing is so good. Let me show you the difference with and without this before we go into Smooth Operator. Without Abbey Road Saturator, my vocals sounded like this. So come up with me, I'll take you high. With it, so come up with me, I'll take you high. Can you hear that? It's so good, bro. This might look lazy, but this thing, bro, secret sauce. I'm telling you. After this, I added an RBox. So RBox is compressing the vocals. Simple. I'm adding a Q10 and I'm just getting rid of the lows. I could have done this with any other EQ, but I decided to just go in this box right here. And then I'm using CLA 2A, which is again another compressor. And I'm just reducing peaks with this one just to make sure that the vocal sounds a little bit more steady, you know? And I'm also using a compressor. This is usually a preset that I use for vocals, and I'm just taming most of this annoying frequencies, like this harsh frequencies over here. It just makes everything sound more even, you know, which is what I wanted. And like I've said before, this vocal had some frequencies that were so annoying. And the only way I knew I could get rid of this would be with some sort of spectral compressor or resonant remover like Soothe, but I don't have Soothe because it's like $200, but I have Smooth Operator. So I used Smooth Operator on the vocal and it sounds like this. So come up with me, I'll take you high. And with it, sounds like this. So come up with me, I'll take you high. You might not notice it, but there's a specific part. Actually, let me go find it. I think it's around here. Yeah, around here. So with Smooth Operator off, sounds like this. And with Smooth Operator on, if you guys can see, I'm getting rid of mostly these frequencies right here, which that girl vocal is very heavy on. So far, so good. All right. What I did after this was to actually consolidate it. I wanted to create a remix that was a total twist from the original. But at the same time, I wanted to respect some of the parts from the original song. For example, I decided to recreate the whole breakdown of the song. So I created the chords, a bass line, a sort of lead, and some sort of pad. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. This first sound is a pad. It's from Flex. Magical. Okay, so it's called Epic Rise Pad. It's a preset on Flex, and I recreated the chord progression, which is G, A sharp, C, D sharp, and it goes on and on throughout the whole song. I like this. Cool. Then I thought that's not enough. I needed a guitar because the original track uses a guitar. So I loaded in Labs, which is a free thing, and I used electric guitars called Rock Plucks, that's what it's called. And it sounds like this. The trick to make this guitars sound a little bit more alive and a little bit more real was to create some strumming. And I mean, FL Studio has so many great tools that nobody really uses, but one of them is this called Strum. You click on it and you can create strums. I already did that, so if I do it again, it creates this little exaggerated strumming, which we don't want to add strums to strums. So this is what it does. It creates some sort of double at the beginning. So it's sounds really good, but it's the same exact chords as the pads. It's the exact same thing. One important thing for this guitars is that I'm actually adding a ton of effects to them. I'm using a studio rack and I'm using guitar stump to make it vibrate. So to make it feel like an old west kind of guitar. This is how the guitar sounds like with effects. Without effects. It still sounds good, but there's not that much movement. It doesn't feel like an Old West kind of movie, you know? So I've added Kramer PIE, REQ, and I'm using a VEQ, and then I have a parallel split with a ton of effects. Limiter, Renaissance, reverb, delay, a doubler, and a multi-band split of a overdrive stump. This looks overcomplicated, I know. But you know, when you're making music and you're trying stuff out, you're not really thinking about doing it in a very organized way. So I ended up with a mess. So I then went ahead and consolidated the pad and the guitar. But then we needed something else. I heard that the track had this Release sounding bass. So loaded in a Release. Sounds like this. This is actually one of my presets on store.eskar.com. It's called FREEBIES, and it's part of my Melodic House Essentials. This is probably like a 3-year-old preset pack, but I still use it. I decided to use Serum1 for this because I wanted to do something basic. Like I did not need 3 oscillators or anything. Like I just wanted to save CPU. So after this respace, we then needed this sort of 80s or 70s kind of bass. I'm thinking 80s, I think. And it sounds like this. Again, these two sounds are both following the same chord progression as the original track, and I'm basically recreating the original track with different sounds, just as close as I could find them, you know. And I'm using this preset called Bass Litka from Melodic Techno Flexpack, whatever. I didn't change anything on it. I just removed the reverb, and what I did to it was just to get rid of the lows and the highs. This is just there to add some sort of texture. However, it is moving towards the buildup. So when we're reaching the drop, this thing gets opened a little bit more. But okay, so after this, you combine everything, and it sounds like this. After this, I then added an extra sound, which is this sort of, I call it the crying synth. Sounds like this. Funny enough, Citrus has a preset called Angelic Whistle, so I'm using this preset for this. Super simple. And that's pretty much it for the breakdown. It's super simple. I just wanted, again, to recreate the original song because I like this part about the song. It just feels like it hypes you up. Besides all of this synths that I actually added a bunch of drums. And those drums are the exact same drums as the ones in the drop. I'm just adding a filter. If you can see, all of these sounds are going to drums. And then you can see I have parametric EQ. I'm getting rid of the lows and the highs. I have another one getting rid of the lows. Again, it uses a filter. And I'm using Orion for all of the drums. So all the drums can go into this Orion thing, which is so good. So what I'm using Orion for lately is this parallels side of the plugin, which has parallel signals to whatever you put into. And in this case, I'm adding some gritly drums. That's all I'm doing. And it sounds really good, to be honest. Something super simple, but it adds up at the end. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just show you the drop, okay? Because I know you guys are all here for that. I know you guys are. Let's start with the drums. First, we got the kick. Sounds like this. This kick is actually from my Eskar Kicks Volume 1 Soundbank. If you guys want to go check it out, it's at store.eskar.com. Simple. And I didn't do much to it. The only thing that's here, it's EQ, and I'm using it to filter out some of the frequencies throughout the track. I always treat my kick differently than anything else in the song. Like I don't add it in a drums group, or I don't add it in a bass group. Like I treat my kick as its own thing. After this, I added a clap, which sounds like this. Super short. This clap is super short. And if you check it out, I'm actually using one of my favorite plugins nowadays. This one's called Snapback. Without Snapback, my clap sounds like this. Let me mute the kick. Without Snapback, my clap sounds like this. With Snapback, my clap sounds like this. As you can see, as you can hear, my clap now has a little bit of sizzle, and it now has a very small shifted sound to it. And that's because Snapback lets you add a pre-shifted thing. Let me show you. See? You can add something before the sample plays, which is insane to think about, but some sort of look ahead or something happening. And then you can also add a transient, and I added a rattle 3 transient. Let me change the decay so you can hear what it sounds like. So this is just adding a per kind of sound to it. This clap is not that short. It's actually like this, sounds like this. See? I just made it as short as I could. I actually made it a little bit shorter lengthwise. And then I put the out all the way up. Because if you put it like this, it's actually longer. You see? This is how I made my clap sound short, punchy, and cool. So shout out to Cable Guys. You guys, really cool plugin. After this, I added a hi-hat, which is a open hi-hat, of course. And I noticed that the original track from BLACKPINK had this really high frequency tone to the hi-hat, and I was looking for that specific sample everywhere. I looked at every single Vengeance sample pack, and I couldn't find that hi-hat. And I was like, why does BLACKPINK's hi-hat has this ding, ding, ding sound to it? Because you could hear it. So I played around with a lot of things, and I ended up using a frequency shifter. And I added a frequency shifter to my hi-hat. So without it, it sounds like this. Let me show you. Without anything. With frequency shifter, sounds like this. I knew it was a 909 open hi-hat. I just couldn't get that specific high frequency. And with frequency shifter, I made it. So I learned something from working on this remix, as you see. Then I added a rumble bass, which sounds like this. It's super simple. It's super subtle and simple, but it's there. After that, I actually added another rumble bass. And it's just there to add space, you know? Like it's not doing anything crazy. So, okay. After this, we actually added some toms. If you look at it, I'm just using a tuner to figure out the key, and I needed to have it at a certain key. So I then I got rid of the lows and the highs because I didn't want any. Then we're using some perks. One of them sounds like, the other one sounds like. So. As you can see, all of these drums are super short, and that was a goal. As you can see, these drums are super short, and I feel like that's what adds to the elegance of this track. I mean, the original track, not my own remix. And I also added some extra perks just to open it up every often. And when you add everything together, drums-wise, we get this. Do I add more drums? That's literally the whole thing playing over and over and over again. Like the intro, extended mix is the same thing. Just some things are filtered in there. And the breakdown is also the same thing. Let me mute the vocal so we can hear that. It just has a filter. Again. Filtering is everything. If you're using different drums for your breaks and different drums for your buildups and different drums for your drops, and then mid-drop you're changing your kicks, you must be doing something wrong, I think. Based on my experience, you shouldn't use more than 2 kicks in your song. If you are using more kicks, you probably just need to learn how to use filters. And I'm not saying this with hate or anything, but using just one simple kick and using different filters, automating reverbs and stuff like that will really help your songs sound a little bit more cohesive, and it'll be easier for you to work because you gotta learn how to, because there's gonna be a point where you gotta learn how to work easier and not harder. Don't overcomplicate things. Mixing one single kick in a song isn't that easy. Now, imagine mixing 5 kicks. Drums are there. There's not much else to see besides our drop sounds. Let's start off with this drop. Okay, that first sound you're hearing, I actually tried recreating the original sound, and I noticed the way they did it was by adding 2 wavetables. Okay, so the first wavetable is just a saw. And then you add a second oscillator 3 semitones higher. Okay, I also added an extra spectral oscillator, but you can barely hear it. It sounds like this. I'll show you. It sounds like this. But you know, this was a remix. This was my remix. I needed to add my touch, you know? So I added a ton of white noise, and now it sounded a little bit more gritty. Way better. And then I added a ton of effects. Oh, this changed. I added a ton of effects. One of them was overdrive. I added a ton of effects, but the most important ones are delay, reverb, and distortion. Actually, in filter. Without these effects, it sounds like this. Still sounds good, you know, but with diffuser, we added some texture. You can almost hear this sort of click that it added. Then distortion adds some overdrive. Now reverb, I added a nitrous reverb and I boosted some of the highs. And then delay, added a ping pong at 1/8. That's the magic of this. Without delay, it sounds kind of boring. So a ton of delay. Really cool. So then I bring in the Eskar vocal, which a lot of people ask me about, and it's actually my own vocal. I try to record my voice saying Eskar the most female way I could, and then I put it into Automate, which is an AI thing that changes vocals, and it turned to this. Eskar. But it was, again, recorded with my iPhone. I just said Eskar, you know? Eskar. You wouldn't believe it. And after playing this, magic happens, okay? So this drop consists of, first, a sub bass that's sort of playing 1/16 notes, but with a lot of swing, making it sound like it's some sort of triplet bass, like a psytrance track, but it's not. It's just a sub, and it's the usual sub I use for everything. It's called Sub Eskar2, and it's part of my latest Serum2 Soundbank, which you can find at store.eskar.com, and it's super simple, okay? All it's doing is this. It does sound like a triplet. If you look at the piano roll, there's no triplets happening. It's 1/16, but I'm adding a swing, and that's a 50% main swing. So this is a swing that I'm adding to the whole track, and it is important. Now, the first hit, the first sound in the drop sounds like this. And it's actually, again, another preset from my latest Serum2 Soundbank. This one's called Gulag. Sounds like this. This one is extremely powerful. And if you actually get this sound bank, it won't sound exactly the same because I changed a ton of things over here on the macros. So you would have to play around with the macros. But that's the magic of my latest sound bank, which you can find at startdigester.com. One preset is not stuck to one single sound. Like, you can play around with all of the macros. And you can get different results each time. So actually, I want to let you guys know that I'm playing at ADE this year, October 22nd and also October 25th. If you guys are around Amsterdam, I'd love to have you guys there. I'm going to leave the link in the description for all the 3 shows that I'm going to be playing at, because it's going to be 3 shows. And to celebrate that I'm going to be playing there, and also to help me out, I'm going to be adding a 20% discount on store.eskar.com so you guys can support me, so I can go play ADE and meet you guys. I'm going to try my best to create some surprises for you guys. To whoever goes and sees me play, I'll have a couple surprises for you, all right? But yeah, go check out store.eskar.com. It's the best way to support me and my channel. 20% off if you use the code ADE. All right, make sure to use the code ADE on checkout and you'll get 20% off on anything on store, even my courses and anything, like 20% off. Okay, let's keep on going with the video. Now, this is the first sound in the drop, right? But I wouldn't call it the main sound. And if you look at the effects, what am I adding to it? I'm about to show you guys my favorite plugin nowadays. Really, it's the most underrated plugin I've been using. And no, it's not an ad, okay? I'm not getting paid for this. NSpec Comp Lite 2. Remember OTT? Yeah, this thing blew it off the roof, really. So NSpec Comp Lite 2, from my understanding, is a spectral compressor, which works sort of the same as OTT in a way that offers upward compression and downward compression at the same time. But OTT has 3 bands, and NSpec Comp Lite 2 has 512 bands, if I'm not wrong, which takes the possibilities of whatever you're working with even beyond, you know? It sounds better. It just sounds better. It's honestly super simple to use. And I always keep it at 75%, something like that, which after 50%, it starts with upward compression, I think, something like that. Let me show you how this main sounds like without plug data. So without it, with it, you see how it sounds way more balanced? Like it takes up those low frequencies as well as those high frequencies, and it just feels like it's squished, which is great for our genres. This might not be the best examples. I'm sorry, okay? But trust me, I honestly can't live without plug data anymore. Not plug data, but spec comp anymore, because it just makes everything sound good. It's easy to mix stuff with this. And it brings out some certain high frequencies that boosting with an EQ don't really come out. Like, it's hard to explain. I really love the fact that you can change the curves. I currently can't click on it. There's something happening with my computer in general. But you can change the curve, and I always choose a pink noise curve, which, if you know, is the most leveled curve there is out there. Like the one that sounds better for us, something like that. But then we move on to the second sound again. This one's called Bass Hold On Tight. This is, again, another bass from my Serum2 Soundbank. I'm not going to say it again, but maybe I will. Go check out store.eskar.com. I'm only using my presets, bro. This sound is the main sound. You know, this is what makes this remix sound the way it sounds. Let me actually play it again. Now, every time this melody ends, there had to be an answer. So then I added this extra sound. Let me play all 3. This sound is not on my Soundbanks, okay? And that's just because these wavetables are completely different from ones I used on my Soundbank. But it is a change on one of my sounds, and it's actually this one called Yoinkers, because it's a yoink, like yoink, but it's a different wavetable. So I did not include this in a pack. I don't remember why, but you know, after this, I added a bass fill, and it's actually, again, on my Serum2 Soundbank, you guessed it. And it's just there to fill out this really, really small space. You hear that? Oh, actually, just to fill out the end of the drop, mid-drop, I added a growl, and it sounds like this. However, it is not a usual growl. Because for this growl, I actually went all the way down, and I added an LFO6, and I added an amp that would have the exact same shape as the first, or like the main sound. You can see it here. It's the exact same shape. However, it's a little bit thinner. And the reason why I added an LFO6 here was so I could control the volume of the whole preset that I made, which is, again, I'm not going to even say it anymore. So basically this made it, instead of just, let me show you. Without this, I'm going to bypass all destinations. Without that, our growl sounds like this. We did not want that. We wanted to keep the flow going, but we wanted to change the tone of the flow. So by adding a growl with the exact same rhythm, we added a change. And that's, I gotta say, that's it for the track. If we look at the mixer channel, most of this sounds have a plug data, a free clip, as you can see, and a magic stereo depending on the sound, because most of these were not as wide as I wanted them to be, so I used it to make them wider. I'm routing all of these to a synth out, and I'm using a kickstart. And as you can see, I have a kick and snare plugins here. That's just two more kickstart that I'm using for the dubstep side of it, which has a different sidechain. Also, I'm adding an endless smile to make sure that I can add some transitions here and there throughout the drop, as well as include some reverb that comes in and goes out throughout the drop. Again, some EQ so I could get rid of the lows, because I didn't want any lows here. Although some of these sounds have bass frequencies, but not sub frequencies. I wanted to respect the sub. That way things don't clash that much. Okay, super simple, to be honest. Just get rid of the lows on anything except your sub and your kick, and you'll have a quite clean song. I gotta be honest. Now for the sub, I'm using Camel Crusher, parametric EQ, and I'm doing the same technique for the sidechain. You know, I'm using a sidechain that's just a different rhythm. Let me show you. Dubstep drop or a trap drop, I don't know, but in order to make this clap or snare, I actually used an impact, and I put it up 4 octaves. It originally sounded like this, and it ended up with this. Now, those high frequencies that you hear, yeah, I added those with a snapback using a snare noise white clean transient. Without it, it sounds like this. It's still pretty cool. And I could actually just raise those high frequencies with an EQ, but I wanted to add something extra, you know? That's how you create claps nowadays. Get an impact and just put it 4 octaves higher. So I actually layered that with the original clap that I was using on the song. And it's super simple. All the other drums are exactly the same. I am adding, actually, I'm adding one synth, but it's super, super, super low in volume. Some extra drum loops. And that's it. Now, mastering wise, you've been listening to the song without a master or without anything on the master at all. And usually when I produce, I always have my master chain on, but when I'm recording videos like this, it's impossible for me to have it on because it's so CPU heavy. And for my master, I use God Particle, told you guys before, and I'm also using Ozone 11. If I try to play it, my computer is gonna die, but everything sounds better because it's clipping. And without my master, things sound dynamic, but kind of bad, you know? I barely noticed that I recorded a 1-hour video without my master on. But I hope it doesn't matter. I hope you guys are enjoying the video, and I'm gonna try to play the drop again so you guys can hear without a master and the difference with a master. So actually, you might now notice the master a little bit more. So this is how it sounds like without Ozone. Actually, I'm gonna try to play it with Ozone. It's gonna die, I know. I can't have Ozone on, ever. I think I can play it with God Particle on, which should sound completely different. Let me show you. Bro. So that's the third drop. Yeah, that's the third drop. And we also have a fourth. No, that was the fourth drop. But we have a third drop where I'm just playing the same synth all the time. I already told you guys this preset right here. If this video gets 2 likes, I'll upload the preset for you guys, okay? 2 likes. So you guys better organize. 2 likes and I'll upload the preset. For that drop, I did a slight different thing, which was adding a techno kick, kind of. Sounds like this. And the only difference here is I'm using a different kick. The only thing I'm doing here is using a different kick, which is hiding for some reason, but it's this kick. So much sub happening. I didn't need a kick with a lot of sub. So that's the third drop. Second drop is the one I show you in the beginning. And this is how it sounds like with an actual master on. Eskar. Last thing, it's the first drop. First drop just goes straight into the synths that I created for this remix. Sounds like this. I know a lot of my mixing decisions don't look like the right decisions, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, bro. Just have fun making music. That's what really, really, really matters. And it's very important to know that my master chain matters so much. Just having God Particle on, it just squishes everything and makes it sound proper. You know, without God Particle, let me play this drum. And with it, oh, I forgot to mention that. Okay, as you guys noticed, because I'm glad I didn't forget. A lot of you are gonna ask, like, how is it that you changed the tone of the sounds in the second part of the drop? All I did was automate a macro on every single sound for my drop. This sound right here, if you change octaves, I'll show you. Actually, let me put the volume down. Sounds like this. That's all I did. I automated this and I found the right key. So the note that I wanted. For this one, I did exactly the same thing. Watch this. That's what I did. All right. Again, if you want to support me on my journey to ADE and the shows I'll be playing at, make sure you use code ADE at checkout on store-eskar.com for a 20% off. And please be honest with me. If you guys think 20% is not enough, I'll make it 25 if we get 500 likes on this video. That's a lot. That's a lot of likes. Anyways, if you guys are wondering how the video got 200,000 plays, it was all organic. And if one of you is wondering how the video got 200,000 views and how I plan my videos, first answer to that is I don't know how it got 200,000 views. I literally just recorded the video. And second, I don't plan my videos. I just go with it. For example, for this remix, I made the remix and I wanted to show the remix. My thoughts were, how do I show this remix to people in a way that gets the attention of people that are not following me? That's why this video has so many plays. And the way I did that is I made use of BLACKPINK's image. So the first shot of the video is them dancing to the original song. That way, I'm getting attention of people that are not following me, that maybe like BLACKPINK or maybe don't, but know BLACKPINK. And then I show them the process. But I'm still going to upload some videos testing out how to properly like get it a little bit more viral. But that was my first test, you know, and a lot of people hate having to do remixes. My voice is almost out. I'm so tired of screaming. Because when I record videos, I yell. I don't know why I can't record videos without screaming at the screen. Someday I'll be able to record videos in a more chill way, but my personality just doesn't let me, boys. Just doesn't let me. And I get so excited to be here, and I love talking to you guys, and it gives me so much life that I just can't be like, yo, what's up? Welcome to my newest channel, and today I just can't talk to you guys in a more relaxed way because it just doesn't feel legit. It just doesn't feel right, you know? Yeah, I see a lot of people complaining about having to record TikToks and stuff, but bro, it's our new reality. This is our new reality. You have to create TikToks to get out there. And if you don't like dancing, you don't want to look stupid, don't make stupid videos and don't dance. Anyways, really, really hope you guys learned something from this video. That's my whole goal here. And I hope you guys get inspired to go out there and make music and try stuff and remix songs that you normally wouldn't. That's my goal here. Hopefully, this moved something within you, maybe even just your body and danced. Listen to it. I don't know. Whether you're a producer or not, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on to the next one. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye. Adios.